All right. Today is day two of the Soul series. How do you really embody your intuition era? And on day one, part one, if you haven't tuned in yet, go back and listen. I talk more about what is intuition, how do we strengthen our intuition, and what are the common intuitive blocks for type A high level women that most people are not talking about. Hence, why you can do all the things. You can practice the meditations, you can read all the intuitive books. Maybe you even take an intuition course and it maybe still feels like, okay, I maybe get some downloads here and there. Or, yes, that meditation worked briefly. Or, I don't know if I'm getting as strong of visions as other people. Like, there's still a part of you that wants to connect more deeply to your intuition. You identify with being on a spiritual journey. You've had some type of spiritual awakening and you want to dive deeper into that. And what I found in the intuition and spirituality realm is there's a lot of people out there talking about maybe one niche thing. There's a lot of people out there talking about like meditation is the thing, breath work is the thing. Some people talking straight up just talking about working with your angels and guides or whatever that is. And that's lovely. But I didn't find a space like this, like what I'm going to introduce you to today, the Awakened Souls Collective, the Awakened Souls membership, a space where you can actually come and it's like your spiritual growth hub. Here, you're not going to find me preaching about just the one thing that's going to help you with your intuition. There's many things that are going to help you tap into, strengthen your intuition, but also I'm going to be talking about today actually walking the walk of building a life that you love and using this hot buzzword that everybody uses, manifesting a life that you love, working with your guides, working with your intuition. Because here's the thing, we can talk about how yes, it's so cool to strengthen your intuition. It'd be awesome for you to get more intuitive downloads. Like, I want all of that for you because at the end of the day, that is truly a remembering. And it is your birthright to remember that you are actually a soul having a human experience. But all of that means nothing if we keep it into just the woo woo realm. If you're not using that information, if you're not anchoring into your intuitive channel to actually bring forth and manifest the life that you actually love, like bringing it forth into practices and daily rituals or weekly rituals and just different things like that to actually embody your intuitive channel, embody that you are a soul having a human experience, then what is it all for? So if you're listening to this, it's more than just that you want to foster that connection. It's because you want to use it more in your everyday life. And today we're diving into that a little bit more. Like, how do I use it? How do I work with? So I want you to remember that intuition, yes, it feels trendy and hot right now. And that's also for a reason as we move into the age of Aquarius. And more people are waking up and beginning to ask questions like, who am I? And what does it mean to be a soul? But honestly, it's more than any hack, fad, or strategy or trend. It's an embodiment. It's really embodying, I am an intuitive channel. It's a full blown remembering. And if you haven't, I'm absolutely going to plug a private audio series that I created. You won't find this on the public podcast. It's called The Remembering. And if you really want to anchor in these learnings and what we're listening into from any of the episodes of the Awaken Your Higher Self podcast, from tuning in and hopping into this soul series, and you want to continue just like, yes, I want more, I'm going to highly recommend you tune into the private podcast, The Remembering. You can find it at higherselfawakening.com. If you head to the Soul Tools tab, you will be able to find The Remembering. Or as always, feel free to send me a DM if you can't find it. Okay, so as I mentioned, more women are waking up to soul. So on day one, part one, I shared a little bit more about my journey, about how I have not always been woo. Quite frankly, I was the opposite, type A, logic, really leaning into like, okay, I'm smart. I got to learn more. I got to hustle more. I got to use my brain, which are all great things, but I was so disconnected from my intuition and my soul self. Those words weren't really even in my vocabulary before my 30s. But here's the thing, I'm not the only one. I'm not actually an anomaly when it comes to this point. Yes, I have my own unique soul gifts. Yes, you have your own unique soul gifts. But when it actually comes down to being a cosmic channel and tapping more deeply into your intuition and soul self, I am not an exception, meaning you can do this too. And more ambitious women are waking up to soul, women who you maybe wouldn't think are going on this deeper journey. These are women who have been inside my world, be it from joining my high level, higher self mastery intuition program, which is actually now evergreen. Like you can tap into that. It's basically like a deeper spiritual initiation without having to go find a shaman, without having to go drop off the planet for a 6-month sabbatical. It is an amazing program, all bundled up into a 8-week souls. Honestly, I was going to call it a soul series, but an 8-week healing portal. That is higher self mastery. So some of these women have been through that program. Some have been in my membership. Some are all of it. But I want you to know that Kim, for example, I mentioned Kim. She is a nurse, not currently practicing, but she also was feeling a call to channel a book. Okay. And she's like, Maria, I am not an author. I don't know where this is coming from. And she was also staying at home with her daughter, raising her daughter. And she was like, this book just keeps coming into my awareness. Like I need to, and she started writing, but her ego got in the way. Like, who am I to do this? Why am I writing this book? Then she came into my world. I started sharing more with her about my spiritual awakening, about my program, about my membership. And she has been able to open her intuitive channel. And it's not only helped guide her parenting decisions, it's helped her channel her book through and work with her guides to follow her dreams. All right. Anna is a businesswoman. She was already dabbling into experiencing her spiritual gifts, intuitive channel. She was like reading the books, doing the things. She got trained in using human design. Like she was already, again, awake into some woo. But she's like, okay, I really want to embody my channel. I want to strengthen my intuition. And she tried everything else. And she landed on my page shortly after I channeled my program, Higher Self Mastery. She joined, and before you know it, she had a full remembering. She's like, Maria, I feel like I came home to myself. And before that, she was in more of the corporate business world. So, yes, she can identify as someone who did not grow up woo, and she came back home to it. I have countless stories like these of 20 plus, 30 plus women who have entered my world as type A, ambitious, go, go, go women with big dreams and wanting to come back to soul. And, shall we say, just stumbling into my world, but truly it was divinely led. So you are not alone for having found the soul series, whether you registered for the soul series, whether you're landing on this in the podcast or where you're tuning in. This is not a coincidence. This is you walking back home to your full soul self. Now, I'm not going to go through this, but if you haven't yet, I do highly recommend, however you're tuning into this, pausing and doing the intuition self-assessment. And if you are watching this on video format, or if you'd like to get the video format, again, send me a message. This is also found on YouTube if you're listening to the audio podcast version. But the intuition self-assessment is a real deep dive into like intuition is more than just like, am I intuitive? Yes or no, like black or white. Like we think of it like, oh, yes, I'm deeply intuitive. No, I'm not. Or we're like, okay, am I as intuitive as my psychic friend over there who's like talking to her guides every day? No. And I probably can't get to that. That's what most type A women think. Like, yeah, no, like I wasn't born woo. Yes, I get some intuitive nudges here and there. Yes, I feel like a big calling and I'm following my soul dreams, or you're wanting to follow and anchor into your soul dreams and your soul purpose, but you still feel somewhat disconnected. And that's the nuance of working with and connecting to your intuition. It's not just like, is this on? Yes or no. It's really like, how often are you intentionally connecting to your intuition? When you receive intuition, are you trusting it? Or are you second guessing it a lot? Are you overthinking it a lot? Are you acting on this information? Are you using your intuition in every area of your life? Because that is what's possible. And if you're not there, it's just because you're not there yet. So I do highly recommend it. It's why I just wanted to briefly keep this in here for day 2. Just checking in with how connected and tapped into your intuition you currently are. Now, before I talk about and go into more of today's topic, working with your guides to manifest your dream life, what I want you to know, and this is something that I share more deeply with women who are in my membership in my intuition mastery program, but I want to share it here as well, is that working with your guides is really the same as working with your intuition. And I'm going to talk about that today, but it's why I'm also adding this in here, that you want to strengthen your intuition. Like I mentioned, intuition is not a skill, it's a muscle. It's a muscle that you strengthen. And yes, as we do some of the healing work, it's you then remembering that intuition has always been a part of you. It's just something you need to strengthen. And what a lot of people are missing is this holistic perspective of how to strengthen your intuition. So, as I mentioned, depending on maybe how you entered the spiritual world, how you've entered the awakening, you will find pockets on the internet or wherever who will say yoga is the only and best way to strengthen your intuition. Meditation is the only and best way to strengthen your intuition. Blah, blah, blah is the only way. You get the picture. And what I want you to know, and why I don't always jive with that language, is because depending on you, the person, there can be different tools that will help you strengthen your intuition. Now, yes, I have what I would say is absolutely the best way to uncover the blocks that are actually blocking your intuition. So you can do all the strengthening. We're going to talk about some of these right now. But when you actually notice, like, Maria, I just feel like there's a veil, there's a fog, like I just can't fully tap in. Well, that's because of your subconscious programs and past life trauma. That's because you have fully capped your intuitive channel. And when you are ready to fully uncover and unblock that, then you can ask me about higher self mastery. I'm not going to deep dive into higher self mastery today, the program. But I just want you to know absolutely there's a way to clear the blocks. But no matter where you are in your journey, when you are still wanting to just either strengthen your intuition or you want to maintain a clear intuitive channel, that's how I talk about it with my clients. I'm like, okay, great. You've got this intuitive channel, you've got this muscle, but how do we maintain this clear channel so that you can receive messages? Similar to how, like, I know this is kind of a weird analogy, but similar to how, like, with hearing, you hear through your ears. Okay, but you can't really hear that well if your ears are clogged with water because you were in a pool, or I don't know, if you're someone who just gets a lot of earwax buildup, whatever that is. Like, okay, now it's going to be harder for you. Or if you have like literally earmuffs on your ears, everything's going to be muffled as it's trying to come through your ear channel to hear things. Right. So, what do you do to maintain a clear channel? Okay, well, you got to take the earmuffs off. You got to clean your ears out. Well, I mean, that's maybe controversial, but with a Q-tip or something. You've got to, you do your shower after a bath or something, maybe you or a swimming pool. You like drain your ear again, just so that you can get that clear channel open, so that you can hear better. This is no different than with intuition. Whether you want to call it like strengthening your intuition or just clearing your intuitive channel, so that you can continue to receive clear messages. These are some of the practices that you're going to want to anchor into. And I know that this might feel overwhelming right now, but that's why, this is just a soul series. I want to have this conversation with other type A ambitious women. And when you want to really like dig in and dive into this, because yeah, I can feel like, wow, this is a big bite to bite off, Maria. These are a lot of things. That's when women will join the Awakened Souls membership. And I'm going to be fully honest. I recently, it was also called the Higher Self Awakening membership because that is the movement. More of us are waking up. But I really liked the former name that I had it as, which was Awakened Souls membership. So, anyways, because once women join, they're on that journey of remembering I am an awakened soul. And so, if this feels like a lot, I just want you to know we really make this a journey that you can walk on together with other women, with getting these like bite sized pieces of information, kind of a self paced, go at your own journey, monthly member live calls. Because again, this is a journey, it's a process. This is not like, I don't know, back in school, learn how to memorize the 50 states. Boom. Now you know the 50 states and you could like recite those, rehearse those. Boom, you're good. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that type of learning. Your intuition and spirituality is not something you boom learn once and then you can like recite it to someone. That's not what this is. Think of it, it's more like truly holistic mind body wellness, and how you could maybe take a nutrition class in college or high school, but from taking the nutrition class, you're going to continue to now anchor into the practices of eating whole based foods, staying informed of maybe like, oh, what are the things that maybe I don't want to be eating versus what are the things that I do want to be eating? Like, you know, how nutrition is like a journey of like one, staying in the practice of caring for your physical body and being mindful of the foods you put into your body, but also like just staying informed on like the latest happenings and the latest research and what's going on in that world. That is similar to intuition and spirituality. It gets to be this beautiful process that continues to unfold, but also the Awakened Souls membership, the collective, is for women who want that place to anchor back into, because life will happen. And then it's easy to go back to old ways where we're not being soul led and we're being driven more based on wild emotions or our ego. And while there is nothing wrong with our emotions, we don't want to lead from that. We don't want to lead from what color and flavor of my emotion is it today. I want to lead from my soul. So, again, I just want you to know if this all feels like a lot, there is a space for you to enter into, and just know and trust that this gets to be an ongoing process. You don't have to do it by yourself. Okay, so ways to actually strengthen your intuition. And I know obviously on this page, it's not only me listing intuition practices. Again, I dive more deeply onto this in women inside my membership. You can go through the intuition and spirituality course. I have a whole list of things you can do to strengthen your intuition, tap more into your mind, body, and soul. But I want to at least give the overview that strengthening your intuition has more than just meditating and trying, quote unquote, trying to talk to your higher self. Like, if that's the only thing you're doing, you'll continue to be frustrated. That perhaps, like, why aren't things coming through? Why am I not getting downloads all the time? Why aren't my guides talking to me? Because there's other parts of this journey. You want to, like, I realized because I was so type A and go, 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 for the longest time, I didn't really know what my intuition was, wasn't super tapped into it because I didn't know how to slow down. I didn't know how to get out of my overthinking mind and into my body. So, regular somatic body practices, regular nervous system regulation techniques are going to be important along your journey. There might even be parts of your journey where you really have to do some deep healing work around this. So, not only can this be a point to go into for deeper healing, somatic healing, rewiring your subconscious mind to feel safe to be in the body, but then it's also just ongoing body based practices, just sprinkled into your day, sprinkled into your week. Because, yes, while we receive intuition from our upper chakras, in order to anchor them and fully receive, we have to be anchored in the body. Next, another area that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to really accessing your intuition is you also have to be kind of a ninja of your mind. You have to know how to observe and work with your mind. So in my programs or in the membership, we introduce it. We do go deeper into this inside my intuition mastery program, Higher Self Mastery. We really sit and meet with your inner child, your ego, your logic part. A lot of this is coming from IFS, which is an approach in mental health therapy. But you can use IFS whether you're in therapy or you're using it as a tool to observe your mind. This is so important because so many women will say, Maria, I don't know if this is my intuition or if this is fear talking or if this is my ego talking. Well, if you don't regularly check in with your inner child or your ego or just different parts of your mind, how would you know? So, this is a key component, knowing what the logic mind part feels like versus what it feels like when intuition and soul self comes through. And then lastly, yes, having some regular practices to tap into your intuition, into your higher self. This can look like meditation. It could also look like free journaling or uncensored journaling, we call it. It could also look like anytime you're out in nature. I have some women who, when they're outside and going on like a intuitive walk, they just begin to get some downloads. Or after a yoga practice, and then they're laying for savasana. That was kind of how I initially was able to begin tapping more deeper into my intuition because meditation was always an initial struggle for me because of my busy mind. But after a 45-minute yoga practice at the yoga studio that I would go to, during those last 10 minutes of Savasana, where you just lay there, while that initially was difficult, I began to learn how to anchor into my body and use that Savasana to listen to my higher self. So there are different ways that you can then anchor into an intuitive practice. But at the end of the day, it means your ego needs to surrender to listen to that part of you. So there are different ways you can strengthen your intuition and clear your intuitive channel, but it's not only focusing on the intuition part. Now, I mentioned today we're going to be talking about working with your higher self and guides. Actually, I'm going to start here. Okay, we can go into all of your different guides, and I'll briefly mention that. And I also have a spirit guide guidebook that I'll send out for the women who are registered for the Soul Series. And what I want you to know is that when it comes to using your intuition, tapping into your intuitive channel, think of it like a phone. And like when you pick up the phone, who are you calling? Right? So when you drop in, and the phone is just representing like this is the channel. It's the medium of how you're tapping into the 5D realm, the spiritual realm. Now, when you pick up your phone, maybe you're calling your angels. When you pick up the phone, maybe you're tuning into a past ancestor of yours or a past loved one. Or when you pick up the phone, maybe you're purely talking to yourself, your higher self, your soul self. Maybe you're picking up the phone and you're talking to one of the ascended masters like Jesus or Buddha. But here's the thing, and this is where this is a journey. And even women who have been through my intuition mastery program, Higher Self Mastery, even then, I still, when you're earlier on in your journey, and I just mean like you're really anchoring in and becoming and embodying the intuitive channel, I don't want your ego to get too hung up on this. I don't want your ego to get so hung up on who am I talking to? Which guide is coming forward? Who are you? Tell me your name. Like those are ego driven questions, and it's natural to be curious. Absolutely. But early on, it is more important that you are just embodying your intuitive channel. You're practicing strengthening your intuitive channel, and you're just receiving. You're practicing receiving intuitive downloads because really at the end of the day, it's more about what is the message. It's less about who is the message from. Even my mentor who trained me in using the Akashic Records, Amy Robeson, she very much was like when we were learning how to use the Akashic Records. And I'm not even getting into the Akashic Records inside our Soul Series today. That's for another conversation and another day. But using the Akashic Records is another modality and medium and a way that you can deeply anchor into the 5D realm, the spiritual realm. And even then, when I was gaining my certification for using the Akashic Records, Amy said, I want you to practice just speaking to the collective, speak to your collective guides. Don't get hung up on, oh, I want to specifically speak to this guide because it can pigeonhole you. It can cut you off to the wisdom that needs to come through because you're more focused on ego saying, well, I need to talk to this guide. In that early on, I would rather you just be open to receive intuitive messages and downloads from your collective. So, while today we're talking about working with your guides, I would rather you think of your guides in your spiritual realm and your team as your team, as tapping into your collective guides. Yes, I also love sharing with women and talking about specific different guides, of course. But at the beginning and wherever you're at in your journey, I don't want you to get hung up there. I want you to be open to receive from your collective. It honestly makes it just feel more as if you are divinely guided, held, led, and supported, not just by one guide, because truly people are like, I don't really know how many guides I have, Maria. Like, do I have like a couple guides? Honestly, you have hundreds, you have thousands of guides. Yes, at any given time, maybe one is only coming forward. It's really just so that we don't overwhelm our human mind. But at the end of the day, you're tapping into a collective. Okay, so just for the minds of like where your ego's like, okay, well, give me some examples. What are some of the guides that you're working with? So, yes, you can be working with guardian angels. You can be working with archangels. Maybe you're working with elementals. What is elementals? Well, that would be like spirit animals, trees, working with rocks, crystals, the fairy realm. Maybe it's working with ascended masters. Now, ascended masters are people who did live and walk a life on earth, but then they raised their consciousness to such a higher level that they really anchored back into the 5D. So they kind of hit that, shall we say, nirvana that they call in Buddhism. But they really just like ascended then to such a high vibration that they were able to really stay in the spiritual realm in the 5D. And I'm not going to get into all of that here either. That's a whole other conversation. I speak more on the different realms and planes of the spiritual world inside the intuition and spirituality course, which you get instant access to. It's a $500 course that you get for free when you join the membership. So ascended masters would be like Jesus Christ, Buddha, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene. These are some ascended masters. As I mentioned, the archangels, that could be like Archangel Metatron, Raphael, Uriel, a whole thing. It's like a whole rabbit hole that you can like go down, going deeply into the archangels. The galactic beings or cosmic beings, kind of different names that you can call the galactic beings, but it's ultimately for our guides who are tapping in and connecting to our souls from another planet, from another galaxy. Many of you, if you're watching or listening to the Soul series, you also likely are not from the planet Earth. You're likely a star seed, which means you're also a galactic being. So you're tapping in with your galactic beings. Maybe you're tapping in with your ancestors from this lifetime, your ancestral line of past loved ones, or you're just simply talking to you. More often than not, like we like to think like, ooh, I might be talking to like one of these cool guides, but honestly, more often than not, you're actually getting wisdom from you, from your higher self, from your soul self, who literally already knows everything forward and backwards in time. Or your higher self can get access to anything forwards and backwards in time because it's connected to the 5D, it's connected to all these other guides. So we're oftentimes just gaining wisdom from ourself, from our higher self. Now, as I mentioned, though, I don't want you to get too hung up there. But I want to say this in two breaths, and I know it might sound like I'm contradicting myself. I don't want you to get hung up there to know that you can really just receive messages. And the goal and the whole point of it is to receive messages, to strengthen your intuition so you can talk to and channel with the 5D, with the spiritual realm, not being so concerned like, who did this come from if that's blocking your process. With that, notice and lean in if your soul feels called to work with a particular guide. That's just it. You'll know it'll come through you if there is a certain guide that's coming forward that's really wanting to work with you. So when I was going through the next level of my own spiritual awakening, I found myself really called to and anchored to working with Buddha. And so for a whole summer, Buddha was the main guide that I was working with. And I was specifically working with Buddha to just support my own spiritual awakening, to support my ego in surrendering to this process that I was going through. I was doing all this healing that I then now channeled that as a program inside Higher Self Mastery. When you want to do the deep healing, when you want to deeply awaken to your own intuitive channel and soul gifts, that's where you can go. But during that season in my life, I was working closely with Buddha. Now, there have been other parts of my journey where when I was really trying to anchor into my divine feminine and really wanting to anchor into my divine feminine, my divine mother self, like just working on another aspect and area of my life, then I was working directly with one of the goddesses. And I actually forgot to put the goddesses on the previous page, but there's also the goddesses. And I was working with one of the goddesses, Isis. Okay, she was one of my guides that came forward. Now, whether I would have known her name or not wouldn't have mattered. I just knew that I was working with a goddess. And yes, because my channel is really open right now, I will get a name of a particular guide that might come forward, or I'll get kind of an image. And then I might go to Google to see, okay, who is this? And or ultimately, like they'll find a way to let you know. I mean, right? Like you might stumble on a YouTube video all about blah 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 purse goddess, right? Or blah 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 angel. And it's like, oh, that's your guide's way of saying, like, it's me. This is like I'm coming forward. I keep coming forward because I am wanting to work with you on insert area of your life. Or when it comes to business and how I support my clients who are entrepreneurs and CEOs, my soul feels very called to work with the galactic beings for that and helping other women tap into their galactic beings and their starseed families. So, but that's my soul expression. That's what my soul came here to do. That doesn't mean that it's wrong if someone else, I have another woman who in her business and the work that she does with other women, she specifically focuses on divine feminine, womb healing. So she works a lot more with the goddesses. And that comes through more powerfully for her business work and for her clients. So that's why I want you to know it's not right or wrong. It's just who do you feel more called to work with? And if it's no one right now, if you're like, Maria, I'm just dabbling in this, or yes, I talked to my intuition, but I don't really know who it is, that's also fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, let's get into manifesting. Okay, so how do you work with your guides to manifest a life that you love, to manifest a soul aligned path? So, manifesting is really trending. And at the end of the day, manifesting is a few different components coming together. And obviously, manifestation is such like a buzzword and it's powerful and it makes people lean in because who doesn't want to manifest the life they love? But sometimes if you're only thinking of manifesting as like, you know what, I think I can just like think my way into it. I can believe in magic and things are just going to start to appear. Meaning it's like implying that you don't have to put any work or effort into it. You don't have to look at if there's any blocks or interference. Like somehow it's just going to magically drop out of the sky. And that's where things get a little airy fairy versus having it be practical and grounded in truth. So, one, do I absolutely believe the power of belief, the subconscious belief, and how your beliefs can absolutely manifest magic in real life? Absolutely, I believe in that. And I also know there's a little more to it. So, a couple things. One, you want to be aligned to your soul purpose, meaning you want to be tapped in and tuned into your intuition and higher self so that you can receive guidance and wisdom on who you are and why your soul is here. And as I mentioned, soul purpose is a different conversation. I have a masterclass called Discover Your Soul Purpose. You can either purchase it separate, otherwise, again, it's of course in the bundle of library of resources inside the Awakened Souls membership. Next, what most people aren't talking about with manifestation, it's not just like crossing your fingers and hoping something happens. It's being aware of what might be the blocks or the interference of why XYZ isn't coming to me. Why I'm not there yet. Whatever there is for you, why I haven't hit 7 figures yet, why I haven't called in soul aligned clients yet, why I haven't called in the love of my life yet, etc. So there's just so much more that goes into manifesting that it's not just like, oh, do this manifesting journaling phase for 90 days and then all of a sudden it'll all be here, right? It's more than that. So it's really getting clear and curious and being willing to go into the shadow work of the I can'ts, the no, not me, and the old outdated subconscious beliefs or things that are happening on a past life that are impacting and interfering with why the things that you want aren't here yet. So you must make sure that you are being open to that and receiving guidance on what is the block here and how can I easily and quickly transmute this. As I mentioned with manifestation, you're working with the soul realm, you're working with the 5D and bringing it into the 3D. If you're not tuned in fully and tapped into your intuitive channel, it's going to be much harder for you. Not impossible. There are absolutely people who can powerfully manifest things and they may not be fully awake, but I promise it's so much easier when you feel more tapped and anchored into your soul self. And lastly, the hardest one for sometimes our own ego mind to accept is that you can have all the things lined up. You can be the most tapped in, and then there just comes divine timing. When it comes to manifestation, especially if you're manifesting like, I don't know, let's just say like you want to meet the man of your life or the person of your dreams or whatever. Okay, well, they need to like have XYZ happen to them in order for them to be ready, in order for them to meet you and be in this spot at that time. There's a lot of things that need to happen in the background 5D realm in order for you to find them. So, like, there's just divine timing in things. And that's where you have to surrender to the process. And that's where, again, having a deeply anchored center of self into soul, leading with soul led leadership in your life, in your business, and trusting and surrendering to the process is so important. because rarely do things actually come from just the snap of fingers. Yes, they can come very fast. Yes, as you begin to more align and upgrade your subconscious beliefs and put yourself in spaces to grow, all of these things can happen and can happen quickly. But I will never be one to, um, I don't know, just drop like airy fairy concepts like, yeah, all you got to do is like wish it, believe it, and meditate for 20 hours a day, and it'll just come to you. It also requires tuning in, listening, taking aligned action, clearing the interference. So you can get anything you want when you tune into your intuitive channel, when you work with your guides, when you clear the interference. This is a process, though, it's a journey. So, what's next? If you've been tuning into the Soul Series, what's next? Because as you know, and as I keep mentioning, we are really just like skimming the tip of the iceberg. This is just the beginning. And if you've enjoyed this, I want to invite you into the Awakened Souls Collective, the membership. So many women, myself included, have told me, Maria, it feels like there's not a space for me to go deeper on my soul journey. But like, where do I find out more about this? How do I get plugged in? This is where. Now, for some women who are in the membership, they're in there because again, they desire more of that deeper anchored learning. They want to really grow in their spiritual growth journey. And think of it like signing up for a new college class 101, meaning I have my intuition and spirituality course in there. There are new master classes that I typically channel and drop in there once a month or once every couple months. As I receive more information myself or what might be supportive to women in the membership, I'll drop new things. I also have guest speakers because I don't claim to be the expert on everything. So I love diving into topics like, be it numerology, human design, tarot reading, but I don't claim to be an expert on any or all of those things. And so I love bringing in guest experts to come, either whether it's leading a master class, walking us through an interactive experience so that you can connect to other modalities and ways to tap into your soul, so that you can tap into other ways that you can support your own healing so that you can clear the interference and return back to your soul self. So I love just adding these different components and layers. So as I mentioned, yeah, some women come in just for the learning, for the like, wow, I feel like this is actually like anchored soul learning. I'm getting so much from this. Like, I've dived into your course. I finally understand a lot of things that like you can't just piece together from TikTok videos. So some women come in for that piece. Other women come in for the sisterhood. They come in because you don't want to feel like you're on this spiritual awakening journey alone, or you've been through your spiritual awakening, but you're on this growth journey. You crave more than just like a one and done. You know that spirituality and soul is a process, it's a journey that unfolds, and you can actually do it together with other like minded women. So these are just some of the features that are inside the membership. We have monthly member live calls, and then I also lead quarterly soul readings. So, in substitute for the monthly member live call that month, I do a live soul reading once a quarter. I also have, as I mentioned, guest experts come in to speak on their zone of genius so that the women can get more out of like tapping into, maybe it's a new somatic experience. My friend Monica recently came in and she led us through a beautiful somatic body experience because, as I mentioned, we need to stay anchored in the body as well. From upcoming, our next speaker, depending on when you're listening to this, it's either coming up or you have access to all the replays of these guest speakers. But we have someone coming in to share more on using emotion code and body code, which is a way to do deeper body and subconscious healing. So I'm so excited for Candace to be joining us. There's also some introductory, well, not even introductory, but if you're new to my world or new to how I lead healings, so the membership is not a space for healing. The membership is more a space for you to anchor into your spiritual practices, for you to dive deeper into intuition and spirituality and other like-minded topics, for you to connect in with a sisterhood of women doing it together. Now, I typically reserve my healing for my other programs. However, with that said, it was an honor to be able to gift my Divine Feminine Leadership Healing Bundle. That is inside the membership. You get instant access because so many women coming into my world resonate with like, I'm type A, I'm go, 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 I'm ambitious, I like to hustle. And here's the thing, nothing is wrong with that. Okay, I actually want to dispel that like it has to be this either or thing. Like you're either type A, go, 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 you have high ambition, or you're like woo woo and you just like dance in a dress all day and you never get dressed and like you lose all your drive and you don't have any more ambition. No, no, no. I want you to know that when women come into my world, not only can we now combine your ambition, your vision, your dreams with also being tapped into your superpower, your intuition. So it gets to be both. Now, with that though, many type A driven women though have tendencies of being in overdrive of your masculine. You are in this over masculine state where you don't know how to rest, where it's actually blocking your ability to receive abundance, overflow, and intuition because you are like too far into that hyper masculine. And we haven't done enough to anchor into our divine feminine, which is also powerful, but it's also how we learn how to slow down to receive so that we've got the energy in the tank when it's time to ramp up and go. So it's not a matter of being one or the other, it gets to be both. But for many type A women, if you have some tendencies in your subconscious mind, in your patterns, that it's not safe to rest, that you have like that the only way to earn your worth is through hustle. These are the patterns we want to reprogram. This is the Divine Feminine Leadership Healing Bundle. And I am honored. There are technically 4 healings inside of it. One of the healings is like a deep healing. It's to begin the work of self-love and safety. And I start any of my programs with that core belief shift around self-love and safety. So it's 4 separate healings that you get access to when you hop into the membership. That's just me skimming the top. I would love to support you. If you are curious, if you want to know more, if you are so ready, you're like, Maria, send me the sign up, send me the information. I would love to know more. The membership, you can either join and pay month to month. You can also join the annual membership, which just means you can join for the year. And when you do that, you actually get 2 months free. So there are different ways that you can join and hop into the membership. I will be sure to be sending out the link as well as dropping it below if you're listening to the podcast edition. It has been an honor to be here to support you on your journey. And I can't wait to see you inside the Awakened Souls membership. Have an amazing day.